Good afternoon and welcome to the Increasing Voter Participation in Cooperative Elections webinar. My name is Tony Hoff and I'm the Marketing Manager here at SBS, and I'll also be the moderator for today's event. Today we're going to be covering how you can increase the visibility and awareness of your cooperative election through open and transparent governance processes, marketing strategies, and of course voting tactics. To do that, I have with me here today Bob Claus, SBS Sales Director. For nearly 30 years, Bob has been helping member organizations, including cooperatives, customize secure elections and voting events that encourage member participation and promote transparency in governance processes. Bob, thanks for being here today.
Thank you, Tony. I'm excited to be here today and talk about ways to increase voter participation.
Now, before we get started, I just want to make sure that everyone can see the screen and hear me properly. So, to start out, we have just a few questions so we can get a feel for our audience and the elections that you run. So you can answer right in the chat box, and if you answer all three, you'll be entered in a drawing to win an Amazon gift card. So up first, how often does your cooperative run elections? And we'll give some folks a few minutes here, or a few seconds I should say. Number two is, what voting methods do you use? So electronic, paper, maybe you're letting folks vote at a meeting like your annual meeting, or a hybrid, which would be a combination of at least two or more. All right, and finally we have, what are some ways you currently promote your elections? So some common ones that we see are by email, maybe social media, newsletter, etc. All right, we see a number of you answering. Thank you to those who have answered. We will announce the winners of the drawing and connect with them about sending out their prize after today's webinar. Also, just a bit of housekeeping, we are recording the presentation and we'll make that available to all of you after the event. And lastly, we will be holding a Q&A session at the end of today's presentation. So to ask a question, just please use that chat box that you used to answer the questions that we had for you, and we'll do our best at the end of the presentation to answer all of your questions. Now, before we dive into the content for today, I just want to give a quick background on SBS for those of you who may not be as familiar with us as others. I'm always impressed when we have these webinars of the types of organizations that show up, and today we have with us some electric co-ops, some telephone co-ops, food, water, we even have some consultants to co-ops. So it's always fun for us to see who attends our webinars, and we're very thankful that you're here with us today. So a note about us is we do partner with the world's top associations, financial institutions, and proudly serve over 120 co-ops helping to plan and manage their elections. So our services include online candidate nominations and petitions, voting by paper, phone, on-site, and at the end of the day, all of our election products and services are designed to be cost efficient, improve participation, and promote transparency. So running successful elections that connect members to their organization is our primary concentration and an area where we strive for innovation and perfection. All right, enough about us. Let's get on to the content for today's presentation. So first up on our list of how to increase participation in your cooperative election is putting in place a process where you're constantly cycling in new candidates for your board and leadership positions. So you are actively seeking new candidates. Rather than scrambling for candidates at the last minute, you should have a constantly evolving list of potential candidates for your elections. You might be asking yourself, well, how does that help increase participation in our event? Well, it's simple if you think about it this way. To ensure that your elections are newsworthy and relevant, you need to have candidates for contested elections. Unopposed elections feel perfunctory. Members often don't see the point of participating when one member is running unopposed. So somehow you need to encourage qualified members to seek nomination. Successful ways we've seen this done include advertising the nominations process. Again, I know that may sound overly simple, but we encourage you to be open and clear on how your nomination process works and what you're looking for in candidates. When you are in need of new board members, advertise, recruit, and let members know that you're looking for qualified individuals. No one will volunteer if they don't know about the opportunity. The next two ways of seeking candidates deal very closely with succession planning. The first being committee service. This is a great way to recruit and develop candidates. You can identify these new leaders and keep them on a short list of potential future candidates. These members are promising as they're already involved and interested in the future and direction of the co-op. Now here at SBS, we can help identify members with an interest in serving on your committees with a volunteer interest survey. The way this works is a brief survey that's tied to the end of an election website, and it will help capture the attention of members participating in your election and allows them to see all the committee and volunteer opportunities within your co-op. Another idea is to create an associate director program. This will allow your cooperative to have a few future board members work under your leadership where they can be developed and evaluated. When they're ready, or when you're in need of new candidates, you could approach them to run for nomination. Lastly, injecting new technology into the process with an online tool like direct nominations. This is a tool that we built that includes the ability to collect petition signatures, upload resumes, biographies, photos, etc., all electronically. So your candidates would self-register online and fill out the application on their own schedule. The big benefit to the co-op here is that you're able to track a candidate's progress in real time. Ultimately, this will remove the guesswork of wondering whether an election will or will not be contested. And at the end of the nomination process, we can certify the entire nominations process and provide the co-op that added layer of transparency and protection that you would get from an independent party. Next on our list of ways to increase participation is creating a promotion plan and timeline for your election. Now, all your members should be aware of the upcoming election, when it will happen, and how to participate. And making this happen requires a comprehensive communication and promotion strategy. To unpack this topic a bit more, Bob, I'm going to turn things over to you.
Fantastic. Thanks, Tony. As Tony mentioned, it is extremely important to have a well-planned out nominations process. To ensure its success, advertising is extremely important. This includes explaining how the process works, giving key dates, and qualifications for running. Similar to advertising the important dates for the nominations process, you should also do this for the election. Sometimes advertising starts as early as 8 to 12 weeks prior to the open date. To make sure your promotion plan is effective, we encourage all cooperatives to put together a general election schedule with key dates and also create materials to advertise the entire election cycle. This includes in your publications, newsletters, possibly taglines on your staff and emails. A well-planned out advertising campaign will help your nomination and election process be successful. It is vital to map out the communications and reminder plan. We're happy to consult on your communication and election awareness plan. SBS also specializes in election marketing services that can help create a dynamic Get Out the Vote campaign for your election. Tony, can you share some details on how cooperatives can promote their election in person?
Yeah, Bob, you bet. So another fantastic way to gain awareness about your upcoming vote is in your branch or office locations. So some client examples around in-person promotions we've seen be effective are educational materials and collateral that are distributed at your offices. So this can include an information packet on the election itself, maybe sample ballots if the voting process is underway, candidate biographies, etc. Next are posters, advertisements, and digital signage. Now these are also great, especially if you have high foot traffic in and around your offices. Again, you can give specific instructions or call to actions to your members on how to vote, when the voting deadline is, and when and where your annual meeting will be held. Another tactic for in-person promotion are holding informational sessions about the upcoming election. Now these can cover the importance of the election or what it means to be a member of a co-op. Again, instructions on how to vote, or if maybe it's before the election, you're educating folks on how to nominate someone or how to become a candidate themselves. Now, I've even seen these types of sessions become parts of bigger events that the co-op holds during the year, like a Member Appreciation Day. So to piggyback on that idea is holding a Meet the Candidates session. Now, this idea actually came to us from one of our clients on the West Coast, where they hold an evening session where members can come in, meet the candidates who are up for election, chat with staff, and pick up information on voting. So this was a great way for them to add a new twist and a newsworthy event to help promote the co-op selection. Now, if your organization has a difficult time finding candidates, a twist on this idea would be to hold a candidate open house, so to speak. So it's an event where you can drive interested members to come in and be educated on what it takes to actually be a director of the co-op. Here you could have applications if the process is about to get underway or is underway, a meet and greet with your staff, or even a Q&A session with current board members. Again, it could be a great way to start filling that pipeline with qualified members who will make good directors. Bob, can you share some highlights on the next topic on the impact of reminders?
Sure. Absolutely essential to any promotion and communication strategy are the use of email, postcards, and reminders. Other types of reminders, I should say. Sorry about that. Keep in mind, the more reminders associated with your election, the more chance that you're going to reach the members and get them to vote. To illustrate the importance of how reminders can affect an election promotion and participation, we have listed on the screen internal data from some elections we've run. It shows the average response rate per the number of reminder emails during the election. You can see that one reminder typically brings in on average 12%. Four reminders brings in an average of about 27%. Big takeaway here, the more reminders, the better the participation. Also, the timing of reminders during an election can strategically be sent out. The highest level of voting takes place in the first few days that the initial election email is sent out. When the voting begins to trail off, a well-timed election reminder email to those who have not voted will encourage response. This really shows how important an election promotion and communication plan are in building awareness and getting voters to participate. I'm going to pass it back to Tony to highlight another way to promote your cooperative election.
Alrighty, thank you, Bob. Up next is social media. Nowadays, more and more member organizations across the board are using social media to communicate, stay connected, and get feedback from their members. Platforms like Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, etc. are great ways to get the word out about your upcoming vote, inform members about the candidates, and of course remind them to participate. But the thing to remember here is that social media use isn't limited to just the cooperative. With that in mind, we have the ability for voters to share the fact that they have participated in your elections with an I voted social media sharing feature. So the idea here is to have members share their participation and have other members that they're connected to on social media be reminded of the event and encourage them to participate as well. A big advantage of social media that a lot of co-ops highly value is the fact that it tends to skew towards a younger demographic. So if you're looking to appeal to your younger members, consider investigating the different social media platforms and research the effective ways of using these channels to reach more of your members. Now, a question I often get from organizations interested in the social media sharing that I just mentioned is if we can share examples or a case study. And one of our clients, who has just over 50,000 members and the social media as part of their election, recently had over 12,000 members vote online. And of those, 10% of them shared the I voted message on social media. Now, this created a modern-day word-of-mouth promotion and helped excite and encourage other members to participate. All right, Bob, I'm going to turn things back over to you for the next topic.
Well, a big part of increasing participation is making the whole process convenient for your members. My topic that I'm going to talk about now is adding new technology or utilizing new technology with your election. This makes it more convenient. Over the past few years, SBS has developed and incorporated new technology to help the voter experience and become more convenient. You can see on the screen some of this technology. QR codes, or quick response codes. This is a code that SBS can print on any of the election materials, and when a member receives that material, if they're using a smartphone or some other mobile device, they simply can scan that code and it will take them into their personal ballot without logging in with passcodes or anything like that. That code is unique to that member, so they get into their personal ballot. Along the same lines, embedded links. This is a link that is coded, and we can put that into the broadcast email going out to the members. Again, this code for each link is coded to a specific member. When that member clicks on the link, again, it passes them into their ballot so they can start voting immediately. They don't have to enter passcodes. Next is single sign-on, or SSO. This is where NISC members can have their online voting capabilities tied directly into their members-only portal. With this option, members won't have to search for passcodes in an email, which makes it much more seamless process. Next, mobile voting. With the rapid increase of people accessing the internet via the mobile devices and the rise in people that we see participating in elections using mobile devices, it is extremely important that the voting platform is mobile optimized and to ensure a positive voter experience. So whether it's on a PC, tablet, or smartphone, the user gets the voting experience tailored to that device, operating system, and screen size. This means the voters get an optimal experience because the images, text, and controls fit right on that screen. Tony, I know you have an interesting metric that you want to share that relates to the importance of mobile voting in elections.
Yeah, absolutely. So what you're looking at on the screen, folks, is a graph on mobile usage as it relates to voting. So we track mobile usage for voting for many, many years now, and what you're looking at is in 2015, 15% of all web votes that were cast in our elections were done through a mobile device. Fast forward a couple of years to 2018, it's up to about 18%. And while a 3% jump might not seem all that impressive as just looking at this, it's important to point out that this data comes from all the elections we run, not just cooperatives, which is hundreds of elections a year with millions of voters. So mobile use of voting is continuing to grow and grow, and we expect that trend to continue. So on that note, a key in promoting and increasing awareness for your co-op election is to make sure you're offering convenient ways for your members to vote. So if you make voting easy and convenient, members will take notice and participate. Now, an important aspect to consider when you're designing your election is picking the right participation methods. So it's important to note that before you make any changes to your voting process, to review your bylaws or consult with your legal counsel. Most often, your member demographics are going to play a large role in selecting which voting methods are going to work best for your co-op. For example, you may have more older or more mature, as I like to say, members who prefer traditional paper ballots, whereas younger members might want to vote online or through a mobile device. You need to consider the best ways to reach your members and build your election participation methods accordingly. Now, the four most popular ways we see co-ops execute voting are by mail, online or electronic voting, on-site at their annual meetings or maybe at a district meeting, and lastly, voting by phone, and this would be more of a 800 number that you're dialing into and voting as opposed to a mobile device. Now, additionally, many of our clients like to use multiple participation methods, so combining two or more voting options can provide maximum flexibility and appeal to your voters. Anytime you're adding a new participation method, this is another newsworthy event for your election process and will give you another opportunity to promote the event. Again, your members are going to appreciate the effort to make voting more convenient, and overall this will increase the awareness of the vote. So Bob, can you share some stories from some of your clients, maybe the most participation methods that you see with other co-ops?
Sure, that's a great question, and the answer is adding online voting is the biggest trend, and that's growing the fastest. Obviously, like Tony said, it depends on your membership. You got to know your membership. But adding online voting right now, some co-ops add it, so it's a hybrid. They add it to their mail voting. They're mailing out paper ballots still, but they add the option to vote online. Other ways that they use online voting is they may use it for absentee voting. So before the annual meeting, members can vote by absentee. They can do it online now. Just an example of how fast it's growing. 5 years ago, 50% of the co-ops that we work with were using electronic voting. Now it's over 60%, and we expect it to continue to increase. So that's my answer. All right, next to wrap things up, One more tactic that helps with increasing response rate, incentives. Some of our clients do use incentives. The most common way of incentivizing members to vote is to offer prizes. You can see on the screen some of the ways that they do this. Donations. First one, they can, if your cooperative donates to charities, you can just say for every submitted ballot, there's going to be a certain dollar amount added to the charity donation. Raffles, so everybody that submits a ballot, their name is put into a raffle, so at the end of the election there's a drawing. Next, first 100 voters may win, so it's up to you on how you can, how you want to do an incentive for the election. Offering incentives can generate excitement and increase the participation, but keep in mind the prizes need to be worthwhile and they should tie right back to your cooperative or your local community. For example, you might want to have prizes such as tickets to the county fair, or a credit off your electric bill, or a donation to the local food shelf. As we mentioned earlier in the presentation, before you do anything, you should check when you're changing an election process with your policies and bylaws and make sure that contests and drawings are permitted. So with that, I'm going to transition back to Tony.
Alrighty, Bob, thank you, and I appreciate you sitting in and participating on the webinar today. To close out, we have some additional resources that we're going to make available to everybody that should be useful when planning and promoting your next election. And first up is one of our most popular ebooks from last year. It's Social Media and Your Election. This is a great resource of information on how to maximize the value of your election by promoting it through social media channels like Facebook, YouTube, LinkedIn, etc. We will be emailing this out to everyone who registered after the event. We'll send a direct link to it, so be on the lookout for that in a couple of days. If you have further questions on today's presentation or would like more information on how SBS can help plan your next voting event, our contact information is listed on the screen here. Also be sure to check out our website, 𝐟𝐨𝐫𝐿.com. And with that, I'm going to open up the question and answer portion of the event. I know we got a number of questions in, and we will, again, do our best to get to as many of them as possible. Up first, one question here. Bob, if you don't mind, I'll take that one. It just says, since there are many combinations of voting, how do I know which one's the best fit? And the short answer on that is I would recommend a brief introductory call with one of our staff where we can evaluate what you're currently doing, what the goals are, and where you would like the election to go. So what I mean by that is if you're currently mailing out, does it make sense, like Bob mentioned, to add an electronic option? Or if you're already doing paper and web, does it make sense to incorporate email communications or on-site voting? So that's kind of where I would start. We laid the framework for a number of different voting options that are out there, but it's always got to be what's a good fit for you and your members. Up next, Bob, if you don't mind maybe taking this one, it says, what is the average participation rate in cooperative elections?
Big question. So overall, we have these statistics, and overall, it's about 12 to 15% participation across the country. Now, there's a variation in the participation, though. The larger or the more members in a cooperative, the lower the response rate. The higher the response rate comes from smaller co-ops with a smaller number of members. So that's generally the answer as far as what the participation rate is across the country.
Perfect, thank you. So another one we got here, this one relates back to specifically to NISC members. It says, can you track stats on members who voted from SmartHub versus a link they receive in email? And the answer on that is yes. We have the ability to track a couple of different things. You can take a look at how members are accessing your election website. Did they come through a single sign-on? Did they come from a desktop computer? Are they on a mobile device? We can look at all those types of things through what's called an analytics report. Specifically to email tracking, we have the ability as well to track clicks and open rates in your emails that you're sending to your members, so you can gauge whether it was effective or not, or how many members clicked a direct link versus going to the election website itself. Things like that have to be pre-planned and part of it. Unfortunately, going back and doing it after the fact isn't an option, but what you can do is, again, if you're interested in having more analytics and details on how members are voting electronically, again, I recommend we just have a conversation about that, and we can certainly work with you on making sure that we report on everything you're looking to learn. Another question that came in here was, how does that volunteer survey work with an election? And just in short, we would have a discussion again with you up front about the different volunteer opportunities that you have. Are there committees like an election committee? Are there finance committees? Things like that that the co-op is looking to fill with members, with volunteer members, I should say. And in short, at the end of voting online, a member would be directed to a brief survey where it asks them, are you interested in learning more about volunteer opportunities? If they say no, it says thank you for voting, and they're on their way. If they are interested, a screen would display showing the volunteer opportunities that are available, and gives them the option to put their name in the hat, so to speak, list their contact information for someone at the co-op to get back to them. It's important just to point out there that the separation of your vote being cast and your survey submission is completely separate. So the co-op isn't going to know, for example, if Bob's filling out the survey, we won't know who Bob voted for or anything like that. And that survey itself can be promoted by the co-op outside of the election website. So again, we're happy to talk about different ways to incorporate that into your voting process. Well, again, that is all the questions that we have for today, and I appreciate everyone who was able to join us. If there are, as I mentioned, future questions or comments, please don't hesitate to reach out, and I hope you all have a great rest of the day.
Thank you, everybody.